Greetings, John Abendroth here, doing one of our occasional Zoom broadcasts. Joining me, Tom Spencer, and we're sponsored, as we have been often, by Original Joe's of Westlake. And I got thinking of all the golf courses around Westlake and Original Joe's there in Daly City, Tom. And I thought maybe a tagline could say "Champions have eaten here" or "Champions eat here." So. Which would not be a lie, because I remember being there once and watching somebody come up to Jack Nicklaus for an autograph between I don't know, the veal parmesan or whatever it was. So anyway, hey, big week this week, Ryder Cup, which begins the week after the season just started with Max Homa, a great win at Silverado, where, right in our backyard. We've played there often, and always fun to see that event. But the Ryder Cup, is exciting, and many things that you could cover on this. Welcome.
Thank you, John. Yeah, you mentioning Westlake Joe's in Daly City. We might have some Daly City weather, because trust me, Wisconsin in September, it's no guarantee that you're going to have an Indian summer like you're used to in the Bay Area. The wind could definitely be a factor. Whistling Straits, very scenic course right on Lake Michigan. I'm sure many of your viewers and listeners through the years have made the trek back there. It's an awesome place and a truly memorable golf course that's long and challenging and should be good for match play. We'll see everything this week. We'll see good scores and some probably really high scores. But yeah, to your point, the Ryder Cup, it is unique. That's what makes it special. It's only played every 2 years. And in this situation, as we recall, last year it was postponed. So now it's been 3 years since the Ryder Cup was last played. And match play, team match play is about as exciting as it gets. And we're going to see some fireworks. Although I think the captains kind of set the tone in a lot of ways for these matches. And Steve Stricker, who basically lives just down the road in Madison, and Padraig Harrington, who's a salt to the earth guy. I mean, they are cordial captains. I would expect this to be a passionate but cordial Ryder Cup, and everyone's going to hopefully let their clubs do the talking.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I watched part of an interview today, and Padraig, they said at the end of the interview that Padraig looks like he could, host a late night comedy show, kind of following in Faherty's steps. But I remember him once saying that he was very comfortable with the media, because ever since he was about 15 years old, playing high-level junior golf in Ireland and England and Scotland, et cetera, that literally after every single round, he had an interview with the media, because he's been such a key part of all of this. And I think, him being the face of the team is, along with Rory, certainly, or, than others, but he's the spokesman for the team, and an excellent one at that.
Yeah, great point. And it has a lot of friends, by the way, in the Bay Area and San Francisco in particular, and has always loved coming out there to play U.S. Opens at Olympic and the events at Harding Park. And he's been around team golf since he was an amateur in the Walker Cup, playing against Mickelson back when they're basically the same age. So they came up through the ranks together. He's been on the European Ryder Cup team since '99. And he's won 3 majors. He's had a very underrated career. He hasn't played that well the last 10 years, so you don't see him much anymore, but he just keeps on trucking. He's a lifer. He's a grinder, as is Stricker. And, Stricker's game actually has gotten better in the last 15 years, probably than when he was in his, say, late 30s, early 40s. So, they're going to set the tone for this team. But in the end, I was listening to a show recently, and the question came up: who's going to be the fireball for the American team? At least we know that Poulter and John Rahm and Sergio, I mean, they just bring emotion to every single Ryder Cup that they would play in, that they do play in. Naturally, they're fired up every time they're on the course. And the question was, who's going to be that person for the Americans? Because everyone points to Patrick Reed not making the team, but the reality is Patrick hasn't been playing that great this year. He's been a distraction in at least the past Ryder Cup, the last Ryder Cup, where he was critical of his own captain. And he's been, unfortunately was in the hospital 3-4 weeks ago. And there just was a lot of variables there that Stricker didn't really have a handle on. So who's going to take his place is my point, John. And I don't know that anybody really has to. In the Ryder Cup, your clubs do the talking. You're going to see plenty of emotion. When you hole a 20-footer for par to have a hole, or you chip in off the green to win a hole a bunker shot. Some guys have sunk shots from the fairway. I mean, you're going to see the ball flying in from all kinds of locations over the 3 days of competition. And that's what generates the excitement. That's where the guys really get fired up. And particularly when you get a full house in Wisconsin, some of the best PGA championships we've ever covered, John, were at Whistling Straits, where you get 40, 50,000 people on that course, many from Wisconsin, a big passionate golf state, and they get fired up. It is going to be an electric atmosphere for sure. And you can't help but get caught up in that as a player.
I was going to bring that point, who's the fire on the team, and I start with, even Stricker, he's seems pretty passive. Does he have the fire? I mean, he's been a great champion and an event winner over the years. And I think he proclaimed himself as the most experienced person after having been a Ryder Cup player. And, I look at the European team with more fiery players. You've got Sergio, you got Rory, you got Poulter, you got Rahm. I mean, my goodness, there's a lot of fire. And I look at our team, the U.S. team, and you got DeChambeau, but who knows which side he's going to be. I'm not which side he's going to take, but if he hits a bad shot or loses a hole, he can put his booties on and not be not be very happy, and I think that affects his game negatively.
Well, I'm thinking of examples through the years. There is definitely ebbs and flows to these matches, and you can get very down on yourself because you're playing for your country. That's number one. There's pressure. You're playing for in the the four ball and the foursomes. You're playing for your teammate. You're playing for the entire team in general, at large, and of course, your own personal interests. So you add all that up, and say your game isn't sharp. It can really, wear on you. A famous example that just comes to mind as you're talking there, John, is the '99 Ryder Cup. I had the good fortune of covering 6 of them. I actually convinced the KNBR sales department in 1993 to send me to Europe to go to the Belfry. And I think I was the only regional radio reporter from the United States that made the trip over to England. But wow. I loved the Ryder Cup, and I went as many times as I could before we segued and started working in the NFL, which cut into it. But in '99, Justin Leonard, of course, everyone remembers that he famously makes the long putt on the 17th green to basically win the Ryder Cup, and the Americans, storm the green, et cetera. But if you go back and look at it, he was 4 down in that match through, I think, the 11th hole. And guys were trying to pump him up. I mean, he was really in the doldrums, and he was almost inconsolable in the middle of the match. But he had this incredible turnaround, and as we see, made the putt to ultimately win it. So there's an example where, in one 18-hole singles match, you go from the lows to the highs. And we can see it in other instances like Calcavecchia, the famous War by the Shore at Kiowa Island, which is the same course where Mickelson won the PGA this year. He's 4 up with 4 to play in '91 and loses the last 4 holes. So that's just a couple of things that come to mind. But in team golf, as you know, if your partner's playing well, if I'm playing with you and you make 9 birdies on your own ball and I only chip in 1 or 2, well, who cares? If you're playing great, I'm going to get out of your way, hopefully show you a couple of good lines on the greens, and we can club off each other. But if we're both spraying it all over the course, like Mickelson and Tiger did the one year Hal Sutton paired them together, that's generally a formula that's not going to lead to success. So in the end, as I said earlier, John, your clubs do most of the talking. And if you chip and putt well at the Ryder Cup, you're going to make a lot of friends, because that's the way you win matches.
Let's talk about Paul Azinger for a moment, who will be one of the commentators along with Steph Curry. That's pretty amazing. Steph Curry will be a golf broadcaster for part of this. And I find it interesting that Azinger called out Koepka for, not sort of getting it, if you will. But Steve Stricker was asked today in an interview what he thought about some of these comments, and he says, "Look, I don't see this in the team room." And he's been around him for President Cups in the last few years when Koepka has played, and he goes, I don't see it. He says, I think he's a real good team player, and he'll be up for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with it. I read the interview, and Koepka, it was kind of a stream of consciousness thing, and he's not the first player to be, let's say, critical or maybe uncomfortable with the responsibilities of Ryder Cup week. They're already there. They've been there since Monday, and the competition doesn't start till Friday, and you may not even play in the opening match. Remember, 4 players from each side will sit in every team competition. So there's a lot of waiting around, and you're not in your normal routine. But Brooks Koepka, again, when he steps on the first tee and 20,000 people are roaring for him and the American flags are waving behind you, you're going to be pumped up and you're going to be focused. So really, in Stricker's mind, all he wants to know is that Koepka is healthy, that his wrist isn't bothering him. Can you play 5 matches? If the answer is no, okay, can we get you for 3 or 4? And then who do we want to pair him with? Obviously, everyone is talking about the DeChambeau-Koepka rivalry and the sort of weird back and forth that they've had going all summer. They're in all likelihood not going to be paired. But I'll bet you'll see a few times this week where one of them wins a match and the other one walks out on the green and maybe is the first to shake his hand. So as I sort of said already a couple times, Koepka's the guy that lets his clubs do the talking. Dustin Johnson would be another one. They're not going to get into the histrionics of the Ryder Cup, but they want to beat you badly. And that's really what it comes down to. The European team has a lot of cordial, great players. Rory would be number 1. John Rahm, great guy. Paul Casey, Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry. These are guys that you don't root against. It's not like the days of Seve and Faldo and Langer, Woosnam, who really were so great and cared so much about the Ryder Cup that as American sports fans, you kind of are like, wow, this is really an us against them. And Paul Azinger, to your point, John, would fit into that mold. He and Lanny Watkins, I can't think of 2 players that cared more about the Ryder Cup, and throw in Payne Stewart from that era. So they brought it to every team match, and this generation, I think they love the Ryder Cup. I don't know that they dwell on it and dream about it year round, but when they get there, believe me, they feel the pressure and they feel the intensity like everyone else has since this competition was created.
Yeah, and I just a couple other little players, and then I had one other topic, but nice to see Tony Finau get a pick. He's had so many close calls, and obviously a great player. And I thought it was pretty obvious that some of the last European picks were Poulter, Sergio, and Shane Lowry, a good friend of Harrington. So kind of fun there. Kevin Na, I think, felt that he should have been picked. I've seen a lot of documentary about that, and should he be there? But but like you said, you got to be, to make it, you're either one of the 12 or you've earned the respect and the play that the captain is going to pick you. So there's always going to be a 13th and a 14th guy that don't get included. So tough thing about this team play.
Yeah, that is, John. You make a great point, because you're deemed to be not in the top 12. So, hey, I mean, Billy Horschel thought he could be considered. He went out and won the next week, but too little too late. Kevin Na played great down the stretch, but this golf course, and we've covered 3 PGAs there, and the winners were Vijay Singh, long hitter, hits the ball a mile in the sky. Martin Keimer, who's no slouch, beating Dustin Johnson with the infamous 72nd hole bunker incident. But Dustin should have won that tournament in all likelihood. So again, another long hitter, ultra long. And then Jason Day, when he won in 2015, was hitting it miles. So he got a team together of long hitters. Harrington added players with experience. When you're going on the road and fans aren't necessarily rooting against you, but aren't rooting for you, that might take some experience. So the U.S. team has gone with youth and let's call it some inexperienced players that don't have a lot of scar tissue from, let's face it, since that 99 Ryder Cup at Brookline, the Americans have only won twice, both on home soil. So Europe is thoroughly dominated. They've got the winning formula, and the U.S. is trying to shake it up. So I like the U.S. team. I think it's going to be a level-headed squad. But Europe has the experience, they have the edge and the mental makeup to make this a real tough competition. So generally, John, the Ryder Cup comes down to about 3 or 4 singles matches on Sunday. And I hope that's the case this week. It'll be ultra exciting and look forward to it.
One bit of news, they mentioned that Tiger Woods would not make an appearance in person, but I bet $10 that they'll have him zoomed in on a big screen in the player room and give it bring out the pom-poms for that
sure.
one. So
for sure. Yeah.
And then my last topic, I thought it was interesting at the Solheim Cup, which the Europeans won by 2 points. Just curious if there'd be any, not retribution, but revenge, maybe thoughts by the U.S. But I found it interesting that Bubba Watson hung out as sort of a team helper. And I'm wondering if, Lexi Thompson or somebody like that's going to show up and try to pump up the guys. So,
I've seen through the years, famously, Michael Jordan, he started coming to the Ryder Cup in '97 as an assistant captain. I think he actually had that label from Tom Kite. And then he just kept coming in every team competition thereafter, whether it was Ryder Cup or President's Cup. Jordan was there every time. George Bush, 43, was at the 99 matches. Then Governor Bush gave a big speech on Saturday night to the team. And we know what happened on Sunday there. There's a lot of people that like to come to the Ryder Cup. It's a gathering from the global golf industry. It's players, it's media. Obviously, this thing is when I say huge in Europe, I'm not trying to minimize that at all. It's next to World Cup soccer and Premier League soccer. I would put the Ryder Cup as a single event as one of the biggest deals in European sport, and it gets wall-to-wall coverage over there, and they care about it immensely. So the folks that show up there, and I wouldn't doubt there'd be other professionals from the women's game and amateur golfers at high level, and maybe even some PGA Tour players that aren't in the competition. And I guess my last thought, John, they should have like a sub Ryder Cup, for the co-captains, the assistant captains. There's 5 on each side, and you got guys like Phil Mickelson and Fred Couples and Graham McDowell and Henrik Stenson. They could have a little fun match themselves that I'm sure a few people would show up to watch.
I've often thought about, the captains playing for 1 point or a half a point that would, could be a tiebreaker. Keep it in the envelope. Don't tell what happened. And
right.
I'm sure
Freddie on a par 3, closest to the hole to decide the whole thing.
Yeah, I could see Phil wanting to do it, but then he'd say, no, put me in the lineup, put me in the 12. So that'd be pretty fun. Well, the U.S. is favored by the way I read it. Not my prediction, but I read that, but it'll be fun. Always is, always exciting, and to see I don't know where the costumes came from with the spectators, but that's a lot of fun, and so it'll be great to watch anyway. So. Tom, thank you so much. Great wisdom as usual, great insights, and it'll be a fun end of the week to catch it. So great stuff there.
All right, John. Enjoyed it.
All right, that's Tom Spencer. I'm John Abendroth, and we again appreciate our friends at Original Joe's of Westlake. As I like to say, eat and drink responsibly. So see you next time.